California. Hi there everyone, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawwalker, your host, and today we're going to be checking out this new album from the legendary Red Hot Chili Peppers with this new release, Unlimited Love, the first album since 2006 to feature guitar player John Frusciante. I'm gonna say it up front, I think I'm gonna be dropping some pretty hot takes in this video, so just be advised, this is just my opinion. If you really love this album and really got some enjoyment out of this record, I'm very glad for you, but yeah, this is just my opinion, and I just wanted to state that ahead of time because some people are really not going to enjoy this. But with that being said, the sun has set on the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This album is 73 minutes long with 17 gruelingly overproduced and underwritten tracks. And there is no shortage of good playing or good performances, but the core sound of the Red Hot Chili Peppers has been on life support since puka shell necklaces fell out of fashion. And that's not to say that there's any shortage of hits material here, because no matter how you package this album, someone is going to find an angle with which to overplay these songs. I do like the guitar work from Frusciante. He plays perfectly solid, funky blues licks that end up making you feel like he's been kind of completely underutilized here. Flea sounds as Flea as he's ever going to get. Anthony Kiedis doesn't sound like he's aged a bit and is pretty much phoning it in on every song because, realistically, let's be honest, anyone could have sang on these songs. Chad Smith actually has some really solid moments on this album and feels like the only member who really has a lot of moments where he can shine. I feel like one of the worst sins on this album too is the abundance of these bad, like Jimmy Buffett kind of Cheeseburger in Paradise style chords that bleed into pretty much every song here. I would also almost compare it to like a Zac Brown band sound. Basically, this album is made for your aging parents to drink Bud Light and mimosas to. As for each individual track, these songs are pretty draining to sit down and try and analyze because the depth of these songs is like a kiddie pool, so there's really just not much meat to dig into. We basically have a bunch of variations on the same radio hit love song for an entire album, and it's almost 80 minutes long. Black Summer kicks off this album with a buttery smooth bass line that slides right off the brain and leads into a few cool licks from Frusciante, who immediately is sidelined into strumming chords that do eventually lead into one of the few decent solos on the album, but it's a pretty lackluster affair overall. The lyrics here are frankly bad. It's kind of like they were trying to just emulate the chorus of Californication in sound and threw like whatever half-baked lyrics they could think of over the track. And the climax this song builds to is like a shrug. There's just no impact at all. And for like a funk rock band, there's not really anything all that funky happening in this track, or really in most of the tracks on this album. Here Ever After is one of the few moments where the instrumentals are actually pretty creative, but Anthony Kiedis fucking ruins this song with a performance that makes my eyes just want to roll into the back of my skull. Also, these lyrics, again, are really, really bad. And I don't really get this half-rapped, half-sung lyrics at all. Like, I get that this isn't exactly new, but it's incredibly low effort and sounds really obnoxious. Aquatic Mouth Dance quickly becomes one of my least favorite songs on the album, with more pretty insufferable vocal work from Anthony Kiedis and a really bland, funky beat that doesn't really go anywhere at all. Flea is very much a solid bass player, don't get me wrong, but I've never really cared much for how he's been utilized in any of the Red Hot Chili Peppers catalog. It's like you have this world-class bass player and you use him for like whitewashed funk beats 90% of the time, and it doesn't end up working. Not the One hits with more of a ballad that really leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth. Like, they kind of keep slowing things down for these slow, moody love songs that are trying their best to kind of be sexy and be appealing, but ultimately run headfirst into the obvious point that these guys are just completely out of ideas. Poster Child feels really unintentionally funny to me because this is kind of the exact sound that people have come to really blast these guys for. I mean, this song, lyrically, it just seems to be a tribute to like a bunch of 70s and 80s rock bands, but it comes across as a fumble in creativity because this whole thing is just really low-hanging nostalgia fruit. It's like they thought to themselves, what is our old-ass, out-of-touch audience like? And the answer was more old, dated rock bands. And I'll be honest, I do really love most of the bands they're paying homage to in this song, but I would really love if the premise didn't feel like such a slap in the face with how obvious it is. The Great Great Apes I fundamentally do not understand as a song. The instrumentals are not very memorable and the lyrics barely make any kind of sense. Like, who is this song for? Like, what the fuck do these lyrics mean? It's Only Natural is another love song, and I get that this album is pretty much like all love songs, but I don't really get that choice when you end up with tracks that are like this, that are just so dull and so forgettable that this 5-minute and 33-second long song feels too long. This is also the longest song on the album. Most of these cuts don't run longer than like 4 fucking minutes. You would think that all of these songs you could get something like halfway decent or entertaining, but this album is a farce in the face of entertainment. It is a complete pushing a boulder up of a hill kind of affair to listen to. She's a Lover, I guess, is one of the better beats on the album and has a slightly better chorus that is admittedly catchy. It really feels like they put this song right in the middle of the album to help listeners pace themselves so they could actually make it to the end of this record. And this song still suffers from most of the issues I've already covered. These Are the Ways and What You Thinkin' lead listeners through some of the most played out sounds that the Red Hot Chili Peppers have in their arsenal, with some pretty bad slow jams on These Are the Ways and an attempt at more funky upbeat jams on What You Thinkin', which is really just kind of a frame for some of the worst autotune that I've heard recently, which continues to pop up in more obvious spots throughout the rest of this album. Bastards of Light has that autotune problem right at the beginning of the track, which then leads into a tacky Jimmy Buffett style that I mentioned earlier, though it's like they're kind of trying to push some boundaries here by adding a vocoder track on the back end of this song. I don't really get the choices that they've made with this song creatively at all. Nothing seems to work here, everything seems to clash, and it makes me want to tear my hair out. White Braids and Pillow Chair kind of hits like a weird 60s surf rock sound, which is kind of cool initially, then becomes very quickly tired when you notice how underdone and how overused the sound is here, not to mention the lyrics again, which are absolutely nonsensical, once again. One Way Traffic had me kind of kicking myself because it sounds very familiar, and it took me a little bit, but I did pin it down. This song reminds me so much of Take the Long Way Home by Bloodhound Gang, which ultimately doesn't really mean much for this song, as a band that makes fart jokes into songs shows up the Red Hot Chili Peppers with the same basic song format. And at this point in the album, all of the remaining tracks feel completely like songs that were thrown in or tacked onto the album as a courtesy. The quality does not increase from here, and in this case really only dips further and further, as these songs don't really have much to say or much purpose on this album at all. These last few tracks, Veronica, Let 'Em Cry, The Heavy Wing, and Tangelo, all feel like grasping at straws, with The Heavy Wing being a blatant last-ditch effort to hit that kind of semi-appealing late 90s nostalgia button, and the final song, Tangelo, being a soft acoustic track that doesn't really feel deserved or necessary. So what did I get from this album other than an absolute headache? Well, when I said the sun has set on the Red Hot Chili Peppers, what I mean is these guys have hit a point in their career where if they take a shit, it will sell. They've reached a status like that of AC/DC, in which everyone really knows what they sound like, but, you know, they can probably name a few tracks here and there, but can you really say that you know a young person that absolutely loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers? And I don't mean enjoying in passing. I like some of the back catalog from these guys. I mean, someone who actually loves this band, under the age of 21. This band has lost its appeal, and to me will continue to do so. Unlimited Love is a last gasp and a desperate scream for relevancy in an ever-shifting, ever-accelerating world that doesn't have time to listen to Anthony Kiedis talk about how badly he wants to fuck. Unlimited Love is a very solid 1. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this album in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And consider checking out my Reverb store and my Instagram. Links to those are in the description below. Thank you all so much again, and we'll see you on the flip side.